Okay, so let's start with the microscopic videos. So I've taken two samples from the Crucible, one with more like stuff in it and one with little less. Both were taken from the upper layers mostly, and so let's see what we can make of it. I mean, and both they contain. I mean, mostly the oil. I filtered out all the the burned material and the pieces of charcoal, because I wanted to be more to see what's inside the oil more than what's on the big chunks, and I also wanted to be able to put a cover on it. Interesting. This looks like life forms. Let's zoom in. Definitely life forms, and not of a very simple kind, but small. So finally something nice. I don't know if this is like a weird shaped Nero or maybe an egg. I mean, now I understand that there are eggs, so is that an egg? I don't know. So it looks like a Nero, but maybe an egg. I mean, now that I know that there is the option of eggs, I mean, I'm kind of, yeah. Or maybe just an oil, you know, it can be just an oil drop with all sorts of stuff, I mean, inside of it. I must say, we didn't see many, Neros that, I can say for certain that they are Neros. I mean, a little bit disappointing. This is, of course, life forms. And it looks like, Neros inside of, a body tissue, like a life form tissue. So this is most probably not Neros, but oil stains with all sort of thing inside of it. not clear. I mean, no really clear indication of Neros. Maybe, I mean, maybe they just, I mean, they're just hiding like in the lower, because it was standing like outside for quite a while without any intervention. So maybe after some time they just, I mean, prefer to go to the lower layers. I mean, when there is like less oxygen exposure, because we don't really see many, like, I mean, what we see is things that, I mean, I'm not sure if they're actually Neros or maybe just oil stains or maybe eggs. Like, I don't know what is it. Oh, this looks like just like Nero. I mean, let's get like the Stargate. I mean, you know, this. Okay, so this is most certainly Nero with kind of like a Stargate, you know, appearance of like another place. Like, nice. Okay, interesting. Not super interesting, but interesting. Let's so let's take a look at the next one from the Crucible. So I'm not sure what it is. I mean, the oil stain, like, I mean, egg. This looks like a Nero actually. And I don't know what it is. So I will try to take more, like, I mean, samples from the oil, like for the bottom layer, from the oil layers, because this was taken from the upper layers, and probably, I mean, just, I mean, the Neros don't want to be exposed to the oxygen. This is I think this is what you call the train. I'm not certain. Is this a train? Anyway, I call it sausage. It doesn't look like, I mean, very, I mean, appetizing. I mean, not much stuff besides this kind of, like, I mean, the trains, you know, the rabies and, you know, the leprosy germ that are, I mean, doesn't look extremely appetizing, and not many Neros. So maybe we need, first of all, to take more sample, and also what we need to do is to add oil to the mixture. Maybe it's just, I mean, the creation of the eggs, I mean, takes a lot of, like, requires the Neros themselves. I don't know, it was a theory. So maybe what we should do is to just add oil and also add wax from the metal containers that we know that contains Neros, and we should verify it first, just to be certain. But to replenish Neros, maybe the Neros, perhaps just transform themselves to the eggs. Is that possible? I don't know. It was a theory that such a thing happened, but I don't know if it can actually happen. If it can actually happen, then probably logically, it's not like a rigorous proof, but it means, and I already said it before, that if it's true, then it means that both the eggs and the flies themselves can be actually very nutritious from for people that find it nutritious. I myself, I've never eaten it until the last couple of days, but for the people that like to eat this stuff, it probably means that the eggs and the flies are very nutritious because they contain, they are literally made out of Neros. So presumably, whatever nutritious value that you find in my yellow Neros, and we both know that you find some nutritious value in it because you like to eat it, both Titan females and Homo sapiens scumbags. So so we find some nutritional value with that. So maybe the eggs, the ikra, and even the flies themselves can be very nutritious. But please don't eat the flies, even if you see some. Let them, find the ecological niche here in Tel Aviv and in the vicinity. Continents. And maybe later, you can taste one or two. But let them please, give them the chance, to swarm and multiply, in these continents. In any case, I would assume that people would prefer, whatever Titans or whatever, would prefer the ikra, variety, like the eggs and not the fly set. The fly set is quite big and sturdy and probably not very palatable, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so a disappointment, but we didn't see many Neros at all. So this could be attributed either to the fact that they are just taking it from the upper layers and they just when there is no activity in the upper layer, there is no fire, they just move to the lower one. So we need to take more samples from the lower layer where the oil drips to the lower layers, and maybe they just all converted themselves to eggs, and they are now eggs, and we don't have no more Neros there. And if we want more Neros, we need to actually take it from the metal containers, like the wax container, or the big one. Now let's take a look at a sample from the metal container, from the aquarium. Nice, very nice. Definitely Nero, definitely. Oh, big one and beautiful one. So yeah, so again, it's as we already know, they survive well without oxygen, like the Nero. They don't really require oxygen at all, and it's even harmful for them. Besides the fact that they need it in order to create some kind of life forms, but mostly they don't require the presence of oxygen, and it actually harms them. So they survive very well in an environment which is at least a little oily and without oxygen. I'm not sure what it is. It looks like it's got the texture of a living stuff, but I don't know. So we see some very beautiful neos here, like, I mean, big ones and fat, and also smaller ones, like you see many smaller ones, like, I mean, on the background, but also very big ones, lovely ones. Here we see a variety of, like, of the smaller type. Maybe we zoom in even more. I cannot see much, like, with this lens. I mean, when I touch it, I mean, you see flow, which, I mean, I guess is a proof that it's actually an OG slide for those that are very skeptical. But other than that, I mean, we really need to clean this mess of this lens. So let's get back to 64. Okay, very beautiful Neros, very beautiful Neros, certainly very beautiful. Not much life form, again, most certainly due to the lack of oxygen. And as I said, this is also, I mean, it's a major prohibiting factor for the growth of the population and the growth of the size of the Neros, because they require life forms in order to, I mean, to eat something, you know. This is a disgusting life form, I don't know what, but it looks like a zombified version. You see, I mean, it's kind of, it doesn't look like, I mean, it looks like a huge zombie, but not of, like, I mean, you know, like a living thing. Like what I call puchlats. Some very nice Neros, both small and big and all sorts of shapes. Yep, I mean, as expected. This is some barren material, I mean, because you also lighted that, but not for a long time, but it was also light, I mean, there was some fire in it, if you remember, not much. And of course, only affected the upper layer. Here we see a variety of the smaller ones, which is good. I mean, we want both the smaller and the bigger. I mean, not only the big ones, of course. Okay, so I mean, this is as expected. The most, I mean, I would say, I would say, I mean, characteristic of what we see is that there aren't many life forms. I mean, less than, I mean, in previous containers, and I mean, we see some. This is like another one, like you see. We see some life forms and even big ones, but not very big ones and not many. And most certainly, this is before this is the lack of oxygen. And so we really, I mean, if you don't want to keep it open because of the smell, like in the past, we've kept it, like, I mean, pretty open, like to only covered with nylon that it was not like airtight at all, and for like months, like, and so this really, I mean, helped like create a huge amount of like very large life forms. But like in the Battle of Cannae video and the Sausage Party video and like the Finding Nemo Neros, Finding Nemo videos, but I mean, if I don't want to, I mean, I will require a better solution. What can I say? Like, I mean, probably, I mean, if I had money, I would have bought like just, I mean, you know, air filter system, but I don't. Well, it's difficult to be poor. I mean, it's better to be rich than to be poor, I must say. Okay, so let's finish with maybe another quick look at our body here. Again, we will not be able to see much because of the fact that it's so big and, you know, and sturdy. Like originally, when after it just died, when we watched it, I mean, we were able to see details on the wings, and the wings are, I mean, I mean, they're the only thing that I was able to actually detached from the body. Everything else is kind of like, I mean, amazingly, like, I mean, the body parts are attached to each other, like, I mean, in amazingly strong way, like, I mean, unbelievably strong, like, I mean, as I said, I mean, like, the tail, I mean, is connected to the body in with very thin strand that you can barely see. It's almost invisible, but, I mean, you cannot rip it, like, with your hands, or even with this, like, a Japanese knife. And the body is extremely tough, but, I mean, the only things that you can actually detach pretty easily are the wings, and that's what I've done, and I don't think that I have the wings here. So, I mean, don't expect much, but let's see. I mean, maybe we can see something. I don't know. We see some details. It's interesting to see, I mean, what happens if, like, you just, I mean, submerge your body in neo juice. I mean, what will the neos do to it? It's not exactly what I've done in the resurrection chamber. It was more, I mean, I didn't want to submerge it because that's how we actually found its death, like by drowning. So I found it, like, I mean, not very wise to actually try to resurrect it while it's underwater. But I mean, it could be interesting to actually, like, put it, like, I mean, inside, like, a jar, like a very small container covered with water that is, like, filled with neos. I mean, something like the water from this aquarium. Okay, let me think about it. For now, let's just put it, like, I mean, you know, I mean, put it, like, in its kind of, like, a box, and we can think later what we want to do with it. Obviously, it's kind of priceless, you know, I mean, but, you know, I cannot sell anything because I'm a slave, and I need to pretend that I'm crazy and idiot and, you know, deadbeat father and lazy in order for the people of Israel to actually release me from captivity. Until then, I'm indefinitely in jail for nothing at all, actually, almost a year now, because, you know, it's so important for the state that I pretend that I am something that I'm not. Not because, like, I mean, my existence is kind of like a state secret that, I mean, and like, presumably the truth about me, if it exposed, it will, like, I mean, you know, become kind of like, I mean, a threat to the security of the country. Not at all. It's just that, I mean, you know, there are so many people in the Shabak, in the Mossad, that are making a living on my back for so long. I mean, they're just using me as a farm animal and to get rich, like, you know, and people abroad are paying them so much money, I mean, to abuse me, so they want to continue this arrangement. This is, I mean, that's what it's all about. But, like, I mean, a huge amount of money that, I mean, comes from abroad for a lot of time and keeps coming, and they want to get it. And if I do not pretend that I'm not what I'm not, so, I mean, there will be a problem with this transaction of all this money. So, for these reasons and others, probably, even though I say that right now this body worth a lot of money, I would assume that, I mean, very soon it will not worth much, because probably there will be millions, like, I mean, all over the place that, like, everyone can just, I mean, go to the street and get one. And it's easy to catch them because they fly very slow. So, I mean, maybe actually, I mean, with all the stuff that I have, this thing is probably something that maybe will lose its value significantly very shortly, because they will probably, I know, swarm and multiply and feel like, at least like Israel, and if not other like adjacent states, by the millions. It's difficult to assume that they will have any predators like here, you know, besides humans, because they are made of metal, you know. So anyway, that's all I've got to say for now. And we still we need a name for this body, so please, I mean, suggest a name. And before I'll actually, I mean, implement my plan to take another sandwich from the Crucible, we'll actually need to take more samples from the Crucible to see that there is actually interesting stuff in it. And if we don't find, we will want to rejuvenate it. And we've already done it in the past. I mean, maybe like 2 weeks ago, we have had the same condition, and probably after the creation of the first one, the first body. And what was done then with great success is, again, to first add oil, like canola oil, but also on top of like the heap, add like, you know, a good amount of bugs from we still have pretty, I mean, nice amount of bugs in the back container. Maybe we'll take like a microscopy sample to see that it's actually what I think it is, but it should be like very, very rich in minerals and life forms. I mean, because it's sealed, not a lot of life, not the diversity of life form, but certainly many neurons. And so after a good lighting, I mean, everything will be, just, I mean, melted together to nice mix. And that's a good way to rejuvenate the Crucible. I've already done it maybe a week or 2 weeks ago. So probably I'll do it again tonight or tomorrow. We'll see how I feel about it. So, okay, that's it for now.